सदा भजो जगदीश सदा भजो जगदीश.
Sikhism came about in India around the 15th century. The founder of Sikhism was Guru Nanak. He was born into a Hindu family, but at a very young age he started questioning the rituals and the customs that were around. He was a very enlightened being, and as he grew older he questioned the way that religion was becoming dogmatic. And for him, religion wasn't about that. He felt that religion was about being a good human being. And it wasn't about where or how or when you prayed or which caste you came from. If you were from a lower caste or a higher caste, for him it was all about equality. Sikh actually literally is a word that means learner. Everybody that became a follower of Guru Nanak became a Sikh. His message was about equality, tolerance, respect, caring, being seen as a good human being or practicing life as a good human being. It wasn't about statues. It wasn't about having to be set to rules of if you do not behave in this manner, then you will not reach God. To pray for him was a way of, in everyday life, you should be remembering God in every single aspect of your life. That whole ethos, people started following it, and then there was 9 successive gurus who then consolidated the faith, and it kind of became a religion. But it started off as just a way of life, of a way of spiritual enlightenment for people. From women we are born, with women we are married, it's women that gives birth to great people. So how can we look down on a woman? And so it was that kind of ethos that drew people to it, and people from all walks of life became Sikhs, followers of Guru Nanak. Sikh links with Scotland and the Commonwealth go back to the 19th century, after the Anglo-Sikh War and the annexation of the Punjab by the British in 1849. The violent upheavals in Punjab, caused by the death of the ruler of the state of the Punjab, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who died in 1839. His only remaining son, the 7-year-old Dalip Singh, became Maharaja. He arrived in the United Kingdom at the age of 15 in 1854. He is commonly regarded as the first Sikh settler in Scotland. In the preceding years, many battles were lost and won in the time of the British Raj in India. Finally, in 1947, India gained her independence. Subsequently, the partition of India took place, and the Sikhs who originated from the northern area of Punjab became refugees as the state of Pakistan was declared. This was when the migration of Sikhs to the United Kingdom increased. As far back as the late 1930s, a steady stream of Sikh families started to settle in Scotland. The women brought with them the culture and traditions of their village family life and implanted it here. There's been a Sikh community in Edinburgh since the early 50s, and it started to grow as more and more families started to come, and so people would find a connection. They would know that either their uncle or grandfather or somebody had a connection in Edinburgh, and people would say, oh, we've been living here for a while and people are very nice and friendly. So then people started to come. So I think by the late 50s, early 60s, there was quite a good population of Sikhs in Leith. So today, nearly about 60, 70 years on, the Sikh community feels that it is very, very well integrated into Scottish society. You find that young Scottish men that have been born, or women that have been born in Scotland, into Sikh families, and have started describing themselves as Scottish Sikhs. We were the first generation of British-born Sikh women, and we were restricted by invisible internal barriers from accessing what the wider community had to offer. In 1989, a group of us came together to create something that would belong to us, would understand our needs, would fulfil our hopes and dreams, whilst keeping our culture, our tradition, and our Sikh ethos of equality for women alive.
Well, I was 15 when I joined it, and that's when it actually begun. It was a brand new thing. you know, in our culture, in our religion, in our family generation. It was very different from, you know, staying in the kitchen and cooking and cleaning. I mean, from the generation before me was my aunties, and they had never heard anything like this, so this was completely new.
I originally came to what was then Leith Home Start, which worked with families under 5 on a student social work placement.
We came from a very strict regimental background. Even when we did these activities, we did question, are we allowed to? Should we be having fun? So it was almost like it was dangerous but fun.
So I spoke to different people in the community and asked them, you know, a load of questions about what they would like. What came out of that was that they wanted something that was in a venue that was sort of trusted by the community. They needed it to be single sex and doing activities that were acceptable to the community, really. We started by inviting the girls to a meeting, and the first meeting we had was at Smith's Place, and 4 girls turned up, and I was really, really pleased.
There was horse riding. There was, you know, visiting places and things. There was going to the park, or, you know, there was Holi. It wasn't just meeting up with friends. But during these activities, we met up with friends. We got, you know, talking and chatting and laughing, giggling. It was amazing.
When they came back from these clubs and sessions and stuff, I found a big difference in them. They really opened up so much. They felt, I saw the confidence pouring from them. I felt that they were meeting what the outside world's about, and they were interacting with people and socialising and realising that life's not just about housework and, you know, things around the 4 walls. It was the outer side that they were bringing all that confidence in, and because they were always happy, you know, after each session when they'd come home, I'd get so jealous. It was like I wanted to really go. So I used to complain to this member called Verona. I remember really clearly, and she used to drop my sisters off from the sessions, and I used to say to her, can I not come along with you at some point? So she used to do a lot of one-to-one with me from the Sikh Sanjog. She used to take me out. I remember Butterfly Farm. That was fantastic.
One of the things that we did shortly after the project started was that we entered the Leith pageant, which was the first time I think the Sikh community had entered the Leith pageant. And we had a girls group float and a boys group float. And on the girls group float, we built the Golden Temple of Amritsar out of cardboard boxes and yellow paint. And the girls were on the back of the on the float with daggers in the air, shouting "Sat Sri Akal." And they just looked so proud.
It was exciting. We found it like, you know, what is this all about, and are we going to be able to do this? You know, is mum and dad going to be able to allow us to go out there and be ourselves without them accompanying us, which was always happening. Mum and dad always was accompanying us wherever we went, and this was going to be something like our time, our free time, away from being in the house all the time.
They don't make them forget about who we are, what religion we're from. So all that's incorporated in everything that Sikh Sanjog does. It still respects the fact that we're Sikh and what our religion's about. At the same time, it's fun. It's just bringing all the girls together with the activities that they do and taking them out and about, you know, to show people that we're a strong community as well. It's not just about other religions, it's about our religion as well. And our religion is a really, really good religion where we get on with everyone. We don't see anybody any different, but we'd like to mark that we're Sikhs as well, that we're about as well, that we're just as important as everybody else. And that's the real most important thing.
The Sikh Sanjog has provided a platform. It has provided a sort of role model for women across so many different backgrounds. They too can, you know, follow their dreams. They can learn some key skills. They can go into education, and also just a platform to actually socialise and to have a life out with the family, to meet friends, to meet people who are going through similar problems that they are, going through, that they can identify with the same issues that they as women face in their community. So, you know, Sikh Sanjog is a vital, it really is a vital resource for women in their lives, really.
I think it's very important reaching out to people who, perhaps because of language barriers, perhaps some cultural barriers, are feeling in any way isolated. It's so important that Scotland embraces all of its communities, and I think Sikh Sanjog's doing a terrific job in helping to bridge those barriers.
The experiences I've had via Sikh Sanjog and everything I hear of now, it's tremendously important for a Sikh woman, because it encourages those of us that don't have the foresight to do those things off on our own account, and it's an opening, it's an outlet. So it's a way of moving on to furthering and bettering oneself and one's family.
Punjabi Junction is a social enterprise community cafe. We are here to help the ladies, the women from the Sikh community. Most of our ladies are beneficiaries from Pathways to Employment, so the community development manager comes and delivers the training once a month. So for a week we make sure everybody gets to attend the training. So she comes to the cafe for an hour and sits down with the team and delivers the training, you know, based on like what is it that we need in the cafe and what kind of help they need, confidence building, you know, literacy, numeracy, customer care.
The kitchen and the terrific work that's going on there, and the feeling of, if I could phrase it this way, sisterhood, which is really strong down there, and I think is a really lovely aspect to Punjabi Junction. You feel that very strongly when you visit, and obviously as a woman myself who's keen to promote women and their role in this society and develop opportunities for them as much as possible, it's a nice place to go, quite apart from the delicious food.
Garam masala, and that's just jeera seeds. Some people eat jeera seeds.
People can actually come in and learn how to cook a proper home-cooked Punjabi meal. We've got our ladies from the community who works in the cafe teaching the general public how to make a curry in 2 hours. You know, people get really scared about making curry. They think it's complicated. It's really not, you know. So a home-cooked, proper, hearty cooked meal. So yeah, people come in, start chopping food, and you know, get to learn about the different kind of spices, and we provide all the recipes. And you know, at the end of the day, at the end of the session, they could either sit down, eat, or take the food home, you know, and share it with their loved ones. So that's really popular. So the other big thing that the cafe does is the outside catering. People place an order from conference lunches to a huge wedding, and at the moment we're not just doing Punjabi food, which is obviously our speciality, but we are also doing European food. We've got contracts from Mela for the last 3 years, and you know, that's been a huge success.
I think the work of Sikh Sanjog over the years has been very important for this community, particularly many of the young girls and the women in the community who have had kind of many difficulties and maybe found it difficult to access some of the more mainstream services, and have got, you know, particular issues and difficulties both in terms of some of the cultural issues and living in Leith. And I think this organisation has really given them a voice and helped empower them, given them new opportunities and new horizons, and you know, really kind of opened doors for the community.
Hello, Sister, can I help? Who's calling?
It's a very exciting time for Sikh Sanjog Youth Provision. We're working very hard to make our service inclusive for all. Our regular groups, our junior group, which goes on every week, it's exciting, it's fun, the young people engage in educational activities together with fun activities, building trust, creating confidence, and just engaging within services that are going to give them skills for the future. We also work with one-to-one and referrals, working closely with vulnerable young people who need support, advocating on behalf of them and signposting into other agencies.
The Duke of Edinburgh Award is something which we encourage young people to volunteer to do. We don't encourage people to do it unless they want to do it. It's something that's totally voluntary, and the Sikh Sanjog are giving the young people in the Sikh community a platform to engage with the award, to kind of take part in it, which is absolutely fantastic. There are not many Sikh organisations across the United Kingdom which provide this opportunity, so this is a very unique one, certainly in Scotland.
The diverse nature of the work that they do, particularly the bit that we fund particularly is the children and families part of it, so the work that Khalida does, so the work in the schools and all that sort of work, and we like the fact that they go out into the schools and into the community to work with the girls wherever they can best reach the girls, and that's important because we understand they're often not accessible to services. So the girls and the families trust Sikh Sanjog, and also the schools have the same trust with them. So that's important to us as well, that they can reach where the kids feel safe as well.
There's many young people that are slipping through the net because they're not really badly behaved or they're not seen as risk. They slip through the net. These young people that we're developing are quiet and they have invisible voices. We want to make their voices visible, and we want them to stand up and be proud of their heritage, of their culture, who they are.
It is interesting to hear the stories of how life was 25 years ago for women when Sikh Sanjog was established. But sadly and subtly, for some of the young girls now, life hasn't changed that much. They do know much more about how other girls grow up. They know they are in education. There is, all the Sikh girls and boys are committed to education.
I think that one of the strengths of the organisation is that they are open to the whole of the community, and they welcome, and this is a safe environment for young people to come to, particularly girls obviously, and it really doesn't matter your background, the door is always open. I've been aware of them working from people across all different ethnic groups, and I think that's a real strength, that they're not just a niche organisation. They're obviously, they work with most of the girls are from the Sikh community, but the door is very much open.
We've developed a programme called the Positive Destination Programme to make sure that every school leaver that we work with, they indeed have a positive destination, and not just a positive destination for 3 months where they go on a placement, but a positive destination until they're in employment, or they're in college, or they're in university. We want to make sure that these girls don't slip through the net and they do receive a positive destination.
As a community development worker, I do a lot of outreach with people. I encourage ladies to come along to Sikh Sanjog because, like myself over the past years, I didn't have much self-esteem and confidence, but getting involved in Sikh Sanjog has really built up my confidence, and I know there's lots of ladies there that feel that, we're just a housewife and why do we need to get involved in something, it's the same pattern every day. But seriously, I would encourage all ladies to come along and take part in our Sikh Sanjog groups and programs that are running. It is a great way for the ladies to become and make new friends. get involved in the community events and just find out what's happening around the community, because there might be things that they never knew that existed or know what's happening on their doorstep. But through Sikh Sanjog, we can be a stepping stone for them and help them move on and progress in the way they want to, whether it's by just socialising or whether it's they want to move on to further education or go into employment. That's what we're there for, to help them, to assist them. I mean, certainly for myself, Sikh Sanjog has inspired me, encouraged me and made me a much better person for myself. And, you know, I've got, you know, so much more confidence, what I didn't dream that I would ever have before. And because of Sikh Sanjog, I am the person that I am today.
I think Sikh Sanjog could really look to grow geographically beyond the area it currently services most. I know that there's a real interest in this kind of activity. There's a big Sikh community in Glasgow, for example, where we sort of interact a little bit, but we're not in the current situation of expanding. But I think that would be a huge thing, because community-wise, it's actually quite a close community communication-wise, but yet there's a big city not very far away where they don't have the same sort of services. And that's what I would like to see, us actually moving beyond the current catchment area, if you like.
It is important that when we're working with girls, we understand the nature of the family that supports them. Within Sikh Sanjog, we primarily work with women, and women are a really important part of that communication, that if they want their daughters to have greater opportunity and choices than they had, then they need to be the advocates of that within their family. And that is sometimes not easy, and it's not made easy by some of the cultural forces that are around them. So while also working with young people, we are also working with women, with mothers-in-law, to try and help them understand that being allowed some choice, being enabled to fulfill your potential, benefits everyone rather than threatens the structure of the family.
I think that after having been around for 25 years and part and parcel of a service delivery, which has either been funded by Edinburgh City Council, part funded by, you know, other trusts, and Big Lottery, Scottish Government, and I feel that we feel that we are a service delivery organisation. And I think for the future, our aim is to be recognised and acknowledged as that, and not just as a ethnic minority organisation.
Being in a group in Sikh Sanjog has really made me. It's made me who I am today. It gave me the confidence. It gave me, you know, the dreams that you are a person, and you have a life, you have a dream, and you can fulfill it. It can happen. It gave me the confidence that I needed in life, and the confidence in a person to get on with their life is the major thing, and I feel as if that's where I got it from.
जब लग मोह मगन संग